Hello, I'm Rico Cavella, and this is your Ageless Body Self-Care Guide, Operations Manual for your body and for your mind. And the title of this session is You Can Do It. Now, you may be wondering what I mean by that, but as you know, this whole project, we've interviewed some of the top experts in the world about how to take care of your mind and your body so you can be healthier and you can live a more successful, productive, and joyful life. But it's also about we wanted you to be your best self, so you can go out and live your purpose. I believe that we all are here with a divine purpose, and that when we discover our purpose, not only does our life become better, but we help create a better, more prosperous, peaceful, joyful, healthy world for everybody involved. And I think that's really what our main purpose is to help create a better planet, and life for everybody involved. So the whole point of it is you've got all this great information, but if you don't act on it, it's not going to help you, right? And I know, we know everybody's so busy these days, and we're so attached to our busy lives, but this in this session we're going to show you not only how you can become more successful and how you can take action on all these recommendations, but also why you should, because we believe that we need more people like you to step up and to stay healthy so you can live longer and so you can go out there and make a bigger difference in the world. So that's what this is all about. And we got the perfect teacher and expert today. Her name is Deborah Poneman. She's a best-selling author and founder of Yes to Success seminars. She has shared her system, which is now used by tens of thousands of people around the world to live lives of not only success and abundance, but true happiness and deep inner fulfillment. She is known as the mentor to mentors. Deborah's students have used her formula to become mega successful entrepreneurs, renowned transformational leaders, New York Times bestselling authors, millionaires, billionaires, and even household names. Yet Deborah feels her greatest accomplishment is not only that she has helped so many people live their dreams, but they now can look in the mirror and truly love the person that they see. I like that so much because that's exactly what this project is all about. So, Deborah Pullman, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, Rico, thank you for inviting me. I am thrilled to be here.
Wow, that's so good. Well, we're thrilled to have you. So, let's just jump right in here and see how we can get people really inspired and motivated to take action and really improve their life. So I guess maybe my first question is let's have you talk about why it's so important these days, especially these days. As you know, as everybody knows, we're facing so many challenges as human beings. So why do you think it's so important that we need more people to become their best self and be more successful and help to meet these challenges?
Well, Rico, you are going to be surprised at what my answers are today because I've been so looking forward to this. I think you're such a nice person. You have such beautiful energy, and I love what you're wanting to do to really shift the world, people's health, people's minds, people's bodies. And I've been speaking for decades. I founded my Yes to Success company over 40 years ago. And I usually tell people the same kind of secrets for how to be successful. And I know you have this PDF that people are going to be able to get, and they'll be able to get my ebook. So I was thinking that I want to talk about something different today. And it wasn't my mind that told me, it was my heart that told me.
It's perfect.
And I hope it's okay with you. But here's the deal: people right now are feeling more fear and more despair about their health, their job security, the environment, our country's leadership, although I feel that it's finally going in the right direction, but we still have a long way to go, like really more than they ever have in their lifetimes. And sometimes when we think about what's going on in the world, even if our personal lives are okay, we can easily go to a place of despair for all the suffering that other people are going through.
Yes.
But here's the truth: each of us is more powerful than we know. And our individual actions affect every corner of creation. And I want to tell you a story, if you don't mind, about something that happened
Sure.
when I was 14 years old, where
Sure.
I saw this. Okay. So when I was 14 years old, I was in eighth grade, and I was one of the cool girls. I wasn't a mean girl, but I was a cool girl. And all of the cool girls hung out at this picnic table during recess on the playground.
Yeah.
And one day, and everybody wanted to be a cool girl. We had a club. It was called the Kleptos. I don't know what it even meant, although our logo was a little what do you call it? Treble clef. I don't know where it came from, but one day, two of the kleptos brought this girl over to our picnic table and said to her, "We have decided that we are going to let you into our club." And the look on this girl's face, her name is Erica, the look on her face, she just lit up like we had given her $1 million. She would have so much rather just been invited into the kleptos than have given $1 million. I mean, her eyes, I'll never forget it. And it was many years ago. And when she got so excited, these two girls said, "Oh, we're just kidding. We would never let you be a klepto."
Oh man.
And I have to tell you what happened. I had my first bona fide spiritual experience of my lifetime.
Mm.
Because what happened was that all of a sudden, when I saw that light go out in her eyes and the sadness envelop her, I saw the world as a hologram. It was kind of like the Matrix. And I saw that her sadness radiated out to every corner of creation. It was actually, like I say, a bona fide spiritual experience in my little 14-year-old world. And I also saw that her pain, not only that it radiated to the rest of the creation, but that it went back to these two girls who did that to her. And it actually took all of their strength and all of their light away. And at that moment, when I saw what one moment of causing another person pain can do, I actually made a commitment that I would never in this lifetime harm anyone or anything in creation. Now, have I been perfect? Not by a long shot. But do I forgive myself? Of course, because there's no reason to put pain on pain. So when I really have tried to stick to this since I was 14, do no harm. But when
I,
I do, I put my hand on my heart. Just by putting your hand on your heart, it stimulates the oxytocin, which is the feel good hormone.
mhm.
And I say, "I love you. You're doing the best you can."
Deborah, that's such a great story. I mean, and that actually that was quite a blessing for you, wasn't it, to be at that young age to be able to see that, and that just shows you again, what physics has, quantum physics has shown that everything is connected in the universe and everything affects everything else.
And I'll just say one other thing. And if you really want to have an impact on the world, which we so do, we just don't know what to do. We want to change the world. We don't want people to hurt. But every act that we do, it's like the Matrix. But if you really want to have an impact on the world, you can also go back to that person and apologize and make it right. I mean, every time you scream at your kids or you're nasty to your neighbor because she cut the trees that are on your side of the fence, right? Or you lay on
Yeah.
the horn because someone cuts you off, or even when you just roll your eyes behind somebody's back, it harms all of creation. But you can undo that harm and bring not only light back into the situation, but multiply the light by going back and saying, "Actually, I am so sorry I got mad about the trees. You are really a wonderful neighbor, and I'm so glad that I have you in my life."
Absolutely, that's such a good message. Yeah, thank you for that. Absolutely.
Yes.
So, so that's just, I mean, I think that's just really such a good lead in to show people that not only there's things that they can do to really not only make their life better, but everybody's life better, but that we need them to do that, and that that they can do it. So let's talk about some of the strategy, your yes to success strategies for living a balanced, purposeful, and successful life. Talk about how you develop those, and tell us about what they are. Yeah.
Well, you're going to notice, Rico, that I am full of stories. But one of the things that I have always told people, I remember reading about that research. Remember that Japanese doctor that, I don't know if he was a doctor, but he was a scientist, Masaru Emoto, who did the work on
Hmm.
messages from water,
Hmm.
right? And really, just think about this for a second, just a little bit of a tangent. If those of you who don't know who he was a renowned Japanese scientist who proved factually that human thoughts and words and feelings affect the world around us.
Hmm.
And how he did that research is he took water from various sources and he froze it, and then he photographed the crystals.
Hmm.
And his first research was done where he took water from a river in Japan, and it was beautiful crystals. But then when that same river ran through an industrial area and he froze it and took pictures, it was like all distorted.
Hmm.
But then he realized that he discovered that water actually responded to outside stimuli. So he played music to the water. And when he played Bach, the crystals were just beautiful. And when he played heavy metals, they were again all
Yeah.
distorted.
Yeah.
And then the most amazing research was when he had the Japanese little school children say to the water, "I love you," and froze it, or "I hate you, I want to kill you." And again, it was either beautiful or all distorted. And here's the point I'm going to make, and I'm going to tell you my own personal story. Perhaps the most profound research of all was when he just typed a word and pasted it to a beaker of water, and then he froze the crystals and photographed them. And when he said the words "do it," like in a harsh voice, and then he typed that out and he put it on the beaker, the water was all distorted. But when he said "let's do it," let's cooperate, and he put it on the water, it was these glorious crystal patterns. Okay, so I don't think I really need to explain how powerful you are, because your words, your thoughts, your writings, 70% of our bodies and the body of our beautiful Mother Earth is made up of water. So every word you speak, the music you play, the words you type have an effect, not only on yourself, but on others and on the future of the planet. So, I mean, you don't realize that harsh words you speak to another person affects your body, their body. So we have to be quicker to praise, slower to criticize. We have to say, "Oh, can you please get me those papers?" Instead, "Would you get me those papers?" Because we're affecting the entire world. Even when we have to say no, we say no with a yes attitude. So my personal experience of this, and it for years, since 1980, when I started my Yes to Success company, I always told people that your word is your wand, as Catherine Ponder would say. What you say has a manifesting ability. And I believed it because I saw it in my own life. We are like vibrating like tuning forks. And if you're vibrating, "I'll never make enough money, I'll never find my soulmate, my kid is never going to make it into a good college," you vibrate that and you draw it into your life. A tuning fork that's an F sharp cannot draw into it a B flat. It will only draw in another F sharp. So if we're, "Oh, the economy is so bad, don't invest in anything I ever invest in because my investments always go south," you're only going to draw into your life those investments that
I
go
just
south.
want to add. I just want to add a point there is that we now know again from quantum physics that everything in the universe, everything is just energy, vibrate pulses of energy, and so even our words, like as you said, even our words, our thoughts, everything is energy. So that's why even our words and thoughts affect not only us, but they affect everything else because all the energies are interacting with each other.
Exactly. Everything is energy. So now you're going to love my story. I never shared this with you. So one time, it was about 5 or 6 years ago, I got a flu. I mean, I don't even call it a flu. I don't like to name it, but I started getting a little scratchy throat and this and that. Usually I'll just take a bunch of golden seal, vitamin C, zinc, I
Hmm.
just knock it out, some electrolytes. I really never get sick, ever, ever. And by the way, hint there, I always say I never get sick. I don't say, oh, I get a flu every winter. Vibrate that flu right in
Yeah,
here.
then you will. Then you will. Yeah.
Right. So I never get sick. But this was years ago, and I started getting this little scratchy thing, and I did all the usual modalities, and I didn't get better. As a matter of fact, I got worse. And the next day, I was even worse. And the next day, worse. And by the end of the week, I was sicker than I had ever been before. And I was lying in my bed, and I lived alone at the time. And I thought, I could die here. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do what any intelligent person would do. I called my local healer and I said, I think I might be dying. And he said, okay, let me take a look. And he said, I want you to do exactly what I tell you to do. And I said, anything. And he said, call 911 immediately. Now, I couldn't even, at that point, I was really fading and I couldn't even open my eyes to dial the phone. So he called 911. The paramedics arrived. They had to break in my door. They asked me what hospital I want
Wow.
to go to. I name a hospital that's like 10 minutes away, and they decide that they can't take me there because I might not make it. So they take me to a hospital, which is just around the corner, a little hospital, about 3 minutes away. And I go into the emergency room and they start hooking me up to every, every orifice. There's a tube and monitors and this and that. By the way, my blood pressure was like 52 over 29. I shouldn't have lived.
Wow.
And they discovered that I had an advanced sepsis. About 50% of people die when you have an advanced sepsis, which is bacteria in your blood. I had two bacteria in my blood. I had just come back from a developing country and I had picked up two toxic, deadly bacteria.
Wow.
So, anyway, I'm lying on the gurney and I start dying and I start going to the other side. And I noticed that when my eyes were open, I could see everybody running around. When my eyes were closed, I could also see everybody running around. But I also saw that everything in creation was guided by a divine light. You know, Rika, when people say there are no mistakes in the universe,
Mhm.
I saw in that place between life and death that there were in fact no mistakes in the universe. Like one of the nurses fumbled one of the IV bags and dropped it on the gurney and everybody like shot her daggers. But I saw that when she bent down to pick it up, her head moved away from a monitor and people were like, oh my goodness, and they made an adjustment that saved my life. It looked like a mistake. She dropped the IV bag. It was no mistake. It saved my life. I saw that everything, every movement of the doctor's hands, every movement in the nurse's hands was guided by a divine light. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what I've been teaching, that there are no mistakes in the universe, is really true. And then the most amazing thing of all happened. My former husband, who was always my dear friend and still has showed up because the healer called him and said, get yourself over to this hospital. And he came in and it didn't look like I was going to live. And he had a little tear running down his cheek. And a nurse went over to him, put her hand on his shoulder, and said, don't worry, she's going to be fine. There's no reason for her to say it. But I saw in that place between life and death, when she said the words, she's going to be fine, those words came out of her mouth, accompanied by this kind of sparkly pink light, and it went into my body and it gave every cell in my body life and strength. Her words, she's going to be fine, it made me fine. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I want to live so I could tell people that what I've been teaching all along is true. And then, Rico, the doctor came in and took a look at the monitors and said in this really intense voice, get that blood pressure up or we are going to lose her. And when he said we're going to lose her, I saw the words come out of his mouth and they were accompanied by this like brown gray gunk. And it smelled like a swamp. And it went into my body. We're going to lose her. And it took all my strength away. And at that moment, I made a deal with God. I said to the God of my understanding, I said, please let me live so I could tell people the power of their words. And then I said, then I made a deal and I said, and I promise you, I will never say anything that I don't want to happen. I will never say my son is so this, my daughter is so this, that person is this. I promise I will never do that because I knew that my words about them made them that way. I didn't want to say the things about my son or my daughter anymore that I didn't want because I saw in that place between life and death the power of our words. And the good news is I lived, as you've noticed.
Yes, I noticed that.
And I'm here to tell you, and that is one of my main messages. If I mean, I teach weekend seminars and 10-week courses, but if you had to pick one thing that you want to switch up in your life, is watch your words because they have manifesting power, and your thoughts, because just like the atom is more powerful than the molecule, and the protons and the neutrons and electrons are more powerful. I'm sorry. My friends, I tell them not to call me when I'm doing an interview, but they do anyway. Anyway, so hold on. I am so sorry. You can edit that out, or you could just know I'm
No,
really
no,
popular.
no problem, no problem. I just want to add on that, Deborah, is, one of my favorite sayings is, you know, the only time we really struggle is when we're focusing on what we don't want instead of what we do want. That's exactly what you said. So if we just keep your attention on what you want, and on the positive side, instead of thinking about talking and then the words that you don't want, we'll be fine.
And the other thing that I was about to say, when my dear friend Shelley Lefko just FaceTime me, and I think you should have her on your on this show because she's brilliant. She talks about getting rid of limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
And what I was going to say is, and it's not just our words, but also our thoughts, because I was saying about the protons and neutrons are even more powerful than the atoms. So our thoughts are even more powerful than our words. So it's really, really important that we watch what we say and we watch what we think.
I totally agree. I think that's the best advice we could give anybody. Well, tell us just a little bit maybe just kind of outline a few more of your success strategies, and then let's tell people how they work. Because they work for you and they work for your students so much.
Okay, well, I'll tell you another one. And that is, and again, it has to do with our words, but I'm going to give you a little technique. All
Okay,
right.
it's
And I'm
good.
going to tell you another story. Okay. And this is a story about one day, my friend, Mary Pat Knight, and we were having lunch, and we had a really bad experience with a spiritual teacher, and we are going on and on and on about the havoc she had instigated in so many people's lives. And all of a sudden, we both felt this negativity surrounding us. So we stopped and said, okay, let's go back and forth and say, and it's a technique I call 3 good things. And what we do is we say, when we start going off on somebody, whoever it is, our political leaders, our teacher, the nasty person who did something bad to you, you stop and you say 3 good things. And I remember this time when I was with my friend Mary Pat, I kid you not, when we were done, instead of bad mouthing the spiritual teacher, and we each went back and forth and said 3 good things, we were in tears. We felt so much appreciation towards
Mm.
her. And even, I mean, and we even started loving her for that essence of who she is, because when you hate somebody, you're hating God, because everybody at their core
Yeah.
is just divine essence, is just God. And after we finished that, we felt like we were, instead of surrounded by negativity, like we were surrounded by a host of angels. So you could do 3 good things around people, leaders, circumstances, whatever it is. And so that's one technique that I share, which is called 3 good things. You want another one?
Sure, sure. That's so good.
Okay, so I'm going to share another one of my go-to modalities with you. And of course, it has to do with the story. And this is a story about how my son had to remind me of my own go-to modality. Okay. So this happened, and I knew I was going to share this with you because I knew you were going to ask me about this. So I pulled up a text that my son, oh, here it is. Okay, that my son had texted me. So this was after not this last election, but the election back in 2016. And my son texted me this, and this isn't to just show my political hand. This is to show an incredible modality for making your life work. And here is the text. It says, "Hi, Mom. How are you doing?" Remember, this is the morning after the election, or maybe 2 mornings after the election. And I said, "Me, I still can't breathe. I feel like I'm living in a waking nightmare. Daniel, I understand, Mom. I also feel like I was kicked in the gut. And that's why I've decided I'm leaving New York and I'm moving back to Chicago." By the way, my son has a nonprofit in Chicago where he puts on basketball showcases for kids in the inner city
Oh,
and invites
nice.
coaches. And then he generates scholarships for the kids. And just so you know, he started it when he was 16 with 10 coaches and about 30 kids. And now, 10 years later or so, he's generated over $50 million in college scholarships for kids
Wow,
in the
how cool is
University
that?
of Chicago with his Shot in the Dark Foundation. But back to the text. So he says, "I've decided that I'm leaving New York," where he was working on a film, "and I'm moving back to Chicago. I'm going to give myself the rest of today to mourn, and then I'm going to channel my disappointment and go all in for the soon to be even more disenfranchised kids in the hood who will need my help more than ever. What we need to do, Mom, is work even harder at the grassroots level and do our part for the world. We need to do right by our people. Me. Thank you, Daniel." Daniel, and after you take a little bit more time to rage and cry, then do what you always tell me to do: find the good. You are always saying to me, "There's good in everything." It might not reveal itself right away, but it's there. And what you put your attention on is what will grow in your life. So do what you tell me to do, Mom, and start looking for the good and put your attention on that. Because if you don't do that, Mom, that's when we've really lost.
Yeah, that is so good, Deborah. I just want to add, on that same note, absolutely right. And, these last 4 years have really been actually good because they've been such a wake-up call to just to show how far off we've gotten, how far off we've gotten. We're not going to get into all those things now for that, but we know how far off we've gotten and how we're treating people and how life is for so many people. So it was a good wake-up call, and so people realize that we really need some serious change in this country
And,
and how we're
and
thinking and living.
And even in this situation, I mean, inspired by my son, I decided to start being the teacher who lives the teaching, as my
Yeah,
friend Janet Atwood would say, and another person who would be brilliant for your show here, and use the tools that I teach everyone else, because that's the other thing. I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. And it was challenging for 4 years, but I continue to do my best and I continue to look for the good. But I'll tell you something, you know, when you're a transformational leader, it's like that expression: if a poor man steals a loaf of bread, he gets a slap on the hand. If a judge steals a loaf of bread, it's the headlines of every newspaper in the country. And if you put yourself up as some kind of transformational leader, but you are not living your integrity, if you are not living your truth, if you do one thing and you teach one thing and you do another, you're authentic. I mean, people are so in tune right now. They could see if you are disingenuous a mile away. You can't get away with it anymore. And I'll tell you who sees you the most: your kids.
yeah, yeah,
Right? You tell
absolutely. Yeah.
your kids to, "Oh, you know, you should be this way and you're not that way." not going to go too far with them because they are so tapped in.
Yeah, that is so good, Deborah. Thank you so much for that. I just want to say to our viewers, I hope you're getting the understanding what she's really talking about here. You know, we're saying that so you can be more successful in your life, and there's plenty of strategies out there. You know, do this, and all that, and you'll get some of those from Deborah as well, and especially when you go to her website and check out her PDF, and she has lots of good information there. But the real key is what we're talking about here. You know, to really be successful in your life, these are the things that you need to understand, and just what you're saying, because that's really the key. That our words and what we're thinking and how we're feeling is really the key to being successful in every aspect of our life.
And I just want to add one other thing. You know, a lot of people confuse success. They think success is about having the big house
Right,
and the cool car and the
right.
kick butt portfolio and the, great whatever it is, sale of the century. I don't know what people think success is, but the truth is, if you don't do these things, if you don't walk your talk, if your inner does not reflect your outer and your outer reflects your inner, if you are not, like I discovered when I was 14, do no harm. You can have the big house, but I promise you, when you open the door, it'll be like one of those Hollywood movie sets. There is nothing on the other side,
Yeah,
because the only thing that is going to give you a glorious life is to be true to yourself, to be congruent, and to be love. And sometimes it's hard to be loved, because sometimes, in order to be loved, we also have to be vulnerable, and we have to admit that we make mistakes, and we have to see, right, the making the money part is easy. There
yeah,
are so many people out there teaching you how to make money. Just, follow what they say. But the inner work, that's what we're here for right now. And
exactly.
I'll tell you something, when you do the inner work, the money and the cars and the house and the this and that will come to you spontaneously. But what we're really called on to do in the 2020s is to do the real work, which is the work inside.
Yeah, that's so good, Deborah. Thank you so much. That's just perfect. And again, so how that relates to what we're talking about here about following these recommendations so you can be healthier and well, and so you can get out there and live your purpose and make a difference in the world. Because when you begin to take on those what Deborah was talking about, and you're living in that way, then you're going to be inspired to take better care of your health as well, because we know you need your body, you need to be healthy, and you need to be energetic if you're going to be successful in any aspect of your life, and if you're going to be able to live a longer life so you can make a bigger difference in our world. So just what Deborah's been telling you, that is really the true key. These are the things that will inspire you and motivate you to take better care of your health and to be your best self and to go out and make a bigger difference in the world. So I really thank you for that. That's just so good.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Because I'll say this also. I also teach how to be healthy. It's one of my modules in Yes to Success. I tell people, don't eat GMOs. Always eat organic. Keep yourself hydrated. You want to exercise regularly. It decreases brain inflammation. I mean, I could teach you 1,000 things to be healthy, but if you are not a loving person, if you are not vibrating with love, don't go wondering why your health isn't good. If you're always talking about how horrible the world is and this person is bad, and when you hate the haters, oh, that person, they're such a hater. When you hate the haters, then you're a hater. So, what you want, if you want good health, the thing that you have to start with is mindset.
Mhm.
I could tell you to go to sleep between 10 and 12, because that's the highest for the HGH, the growth hormone that regenerates and gives you beautiful
Mhm.
skin. And, you know, I could tell you all that stuff. But the most important thing is to be love, and to vibrate love, and to vibrate coherence, and to vibrate truth.
That's so well said. Thank you so much. Well, one last thing then, just maybe you could just kind of sum it up in some easy way. Okay, so everybody's been listening and they say, that really sounds like the right thing, and I want to do this. So what would you say would be your best tip or strategy to begin to get started and really begin to to live that what you just said?
Well, you just said it. Just get started. You
Yeah,
know, people say that they want to wait until everything is perfectly in place.
yeah,
Like talking about passion, maybe they have a dream to write a book or a dream to start a business or a dream to be a speaker or start a seminar company or sell real estate or whatever it is. You know, they have that dream, but they say, and I'm going to do it as soon as the kids start school or as soon as COVID is over, as soon
right.
as the divorce comes through, as soon as I get the inheritance.
Yeah,
And right. And then you're on your deathbed and you never did what you wanted to do. What, and you know, the gifts that you were given in this lifetime, you were given them for a reason. You were given them because you're supposed to do something with them. Right. And
absolutely.
and I believe that when you have an idea that fills a need or answers a lack in society, it's because the creator whispered that idea in your ear because you're the one that's supposed to make it a reality. That's why we all have different ideas. The creator didn't whisper in my ear to, climb Mount Everest or become a famous photographer or discover a cure for cancer,
Yeah.
right? But I acted on what was whispered in my ear. And you know what? If you get a whisper from the creator and you don't act on it, then it's going to go to somebody else who will. And we've all had that experience where we have a great idea, we don't do anything about it, and then somebody becomes a millionaire with our idea. Well, you had first dibs, but the creator needed it done now and you didn't act on it. So the creator had to pick, a second stringer. So what I would say is don't wait until everything is perfectly in place. We live on planet Earth, and planet Earth is messy. Things are never going to be perfectly in place. So if you have a dream, just take a step from which there is no turning back. When I started my Yes to Success company back in 1980, I was broke. I was in my 20s. I had a degree from Maharishi International University in the science of creative intelligence. I drove a beat up Chevy Bel Air, and I was going to go out and teach people how to be successful. But that's what was whispered into my ear. So what I had to do was I had to take a step from which there was no turning back. I went and rented a room at Santa Monica Public Library and put up posters. That's what we did in those days. And I'll tell you one other thing. Don't share what you're going to do with too many people. As a matter of fact, don't share it with anybody because you share it and then the discouragement committee shows up and tells you all the reasons why your idea won't work. You've just shared your sacred idea. They smash it like a seed that will never have a chance to grow. Keep your ideas inside where they're safe and warm until they've sprouted into a glorious plant. And then even if the discouragement committee shows up and tells you why your idea won't work, you could say, nah, 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 it's already working. All right. So what I would say is don't wait until you think you're ready. Take a step from which there's no turning back. Don't share your sacred idea with really anybody, maybe just your spouse, if you know that they won't be a part of the discouragement committee. And that idea came to you because you are the person who is supposed to manifest it on the planet today.
That's so well said, and that brought us full circle back to you can do it. Deborah just showed you that she did it, and so many people are doing it, and you can do it as well, and that we need you to do it. And again, I want to remind you that when you begin taking the recommendations of all of our experts, I promise you, you're going to greatly improve your overall health and well-being and your enjoyment of life, and you're going to be able to make that big difference that you're here to make. So Deborah, that was so good. Thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you so much for what you're doing and bringing this knowledge out to the world. Thank you for listening when you got the whisper to put on this event. You didn't say, oh, I'll wait until I'm ready and next year and next year and next year. You did it. And you're going to make a very large impact on the planet. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah.